Confirmed and official. Sheffield United are down to the Championship for next season. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. Yes, today's video is going to center around Sheffield United, who today have been confirmed as the first team in the Premier League this season to be going down to the Championship. They are officially relegated from the Premier League after today's result against Newcastle. The writing has seemingly been on the wall for a while. This team have been atrocious defensively, but today it has all been confirmed, done, signed, sealed, and delivered. Sheffield United are down to the Championship for the next campaign. We're going to be talking about Sheffield United, the season that has been, the season that was, and everything else that goes along with that. And but before we get into all of that and all that stuff and everything else in between, I would like to remind you all to hit the like button on the way. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're new and want to see more content like this. Both things are always and very greatly appreciated. And of course, get involved in the comment section. I'm sure you have a lot of interesting thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, in regards to Sheffield United, the season that was, the season that will come next season, and everything else in between. That will make for great and interesting reading, I'm sure. But for now, let's go on with the video. Let's talk Sheffield United and the way that they've gone down this season. Look, today's video is all about Sheffield United. Today's result all confirms what we have seemingly known for a long time in regards to Sheffield United, that they will be going down for next season. They were obviously one of the heavy favourites to go back down after coming up from the Championship last season. It's only natural that a newly promoted side would be one of the heavy favourites to go back down again, and that's just what it's proven. They barely spent any money in the transfer window, and it shows. They started off the season with Paul Heckingbottom. They have ended the season with a returning manager, shall we say, and of course, as everybody knows, Chris Wilder. I really didn't remember his name then first. I don't know why I forgot his name. In Chris Wilder. So you can kind of see what the plan was in regards to the changing of the manager. It was going from someone who was somewhat new and inexperienced, especially in the Premier League, to someone who's obviously been there and done it in the Premier League, or with Sheffield United already. So so at least it did make a little bit of sense in doing that. But ultimately, the result has been the same. They have stayed down in the relegation zone for a long time this season, and they've never gotten out, and they will never get out now because it has been confirmed that they are relegated. They've just been poorly managed, I think, since coming back up. I know it's not necessarily their fault, and I know that obviously FFP and things are biting a lot of teams right now where it hurts. And I kind of feel sorry for them, for the fans in that kind of aspect. That I know they sold a couple of big players at the beginning of the season that they had to. I know that obviously the way that their season has gone from that point onwards, it hasn't exactly been great. They've had a couple of bright moments and bright sparks here and there throughout their entire season, but obviously for the most part, it hasn't gone well. It just hasn't gone well. A number of thrashings throughout the course of the season, 5, 6, 7s. I think there was 8 from Newcastle at one point earlier on in the campaign. You just knew from there it was always going to be a massive uphill struggle and a massive mountain to climb as far as what Sheffield United were concerned. But you know, defensively they were just atrocious. They've conceded well into the 90s already this season, and there's a major possibility that obviously with 4 games remaining, it could be into the hundreds. They are statistically the worst defensive Premier League team we've ever had. It's not exactly been a good advert for the Premier League having this team, with all due respect, but at the same time, obviously they did get there on merit with obviously getting promoted via the Championship. So it's sad and it's unfortunate for them and it's unfortunate for the fans, but at the same time, they're dealt a pretty what's the word I'm looking for? They've been dealt a pretty rough hand. They've been dealt a pretty rough hand with what they've had to go through and everything, and obviously the money aspect, the financial aspect, not being able to spend as much as other clubs and everything. The whole FFP system has, I wouldn't say completely screwed them over, but at the same time, I don't think it's been helpful for them to acquire certain players that maybe would have been better filled, better quality to obviously fill that squad with the kind of players that they need, maybe to have a better chance of staying up. Such as obviously I know that Forest broke FFP and everything, but sort of what Forest did last season and what other promoted teams have done in previous campaigns before them. It's been unfortunate. It's been a season in which, like I say, there's been very little to be happy about. There's been a couple of bright sparks and a couple of bright players. I think Gustavo Harmer's been one of your best performing outfield players, especially from the outside looking in. I think even the Sheffield United goalkeeper at times has had a few decent performances as well. To say that he's faced a number of shots and has probably had to pick the ball out the back of the net just under 100 times. But yeah, I think there have been a couple of bright sparks from this Sheffield United team. But overall, it just hasn't been good enough. The quality simply hasn't been there, and it's understandable and easy to see why. Like I say, the overall plan from the ownership partway through the season was to sack Paul Heckingbottom and obviously replace him with Chris Wilder. Is it necessarily something that maybe in hindsight, maybe the roll of the dice was pointless? Maybe they should have stuck with a younger manager, had a bit more of a longer term plan of maybe going, you know what, it's not looking good for this season, but maybe we'll yo-yo it back up for the following campaign, like what other teams have done in the past, such as Burnley, for example, under Sean Dyche. Maybe that could have been the case now. Looking back at it, maybe that could have been something that they may have looked at and maybe said, you know what, maybe we should have done that instead. Either way, it's going to be interesting to see what happens next. Some of their key players, do they move on from here? Do they stay in the Championship with them and hope to try and get them to bounce back up? Obviously, they're welcome back to the Championship with, I would say, opened arms, but at the same time, they're starting with a points deduction for next season. So we'll see. We shall see, obviously, how they get on with that. We shall see what happens with Chris Wilder. We'll see what happens with some of their big key players in that Sheffield United team, and overall we'll see what happens in the Championship for the Blades next season, a league that they've been a little bit familiar with over the course of recent seasons. Like I say, this season it's been purely based on not scoring enough goals and obviously not having a tighter defence. They have been conceding stupid goals and plenty of goals at that, and it's not been good for them. It's not been great for them, and obviously, as you can tell, that's why a lot of people wrote them off near the beginning of the season and have not changed their minds since. Just overall, not good enough. A Championship side overall, and like I say, I think part of it is unfortunate and part of it is probably down to the FFP rulings. Maybe not bringing in enough players, maybe not having enough good quality, and obviously having to sell a couple of their big players that helped them in the Championship last season as well. You know, none of that stuff really helps. I mean, you're seeing it with Burnley. Burnley may be a little bit of a different story in terms of that aspect, but have similar traits. But you're seeing it with Burnley. You're seeing it with Luton. Unfortunately, the newly promoted sides this season just haven't been able to cut the mustard in terms of being... And they could still survive, of course. At least one of them might survive out of the three Premier League teams, but it hasn't been able to so far cut the mustard in terms of obviously being a side that is battling relegation. And has done so, not necessarily convincingly, but at the same time, just in a way that we've kind of given them a bit of hope and a bit of credit for. Not many people have actually given them a lot of hope for this season. Any one of those three sides, to be honest, in large portions. But like I say, what we have seen from Sheffield United is a side that has leaked plenty of goals, and that's ultimately their downfall. That has just been ultimately their downfall. There have been a few games where you can maybe look at and go, maybe they could actually start something from this point. But ultimately, just So many goals conceded. That stat of just the amount of goals they've conceded this season is just incredible. It's just absolutely been incredible to see unfold before our very eyes. And like I say, today's result all confirms what we have known for a while, that Sheffield United are going back to the Championship for next season. It's unfortunate for them. It's unfortunate for the fans, should I say, mainly. It's unfortunate for them to have been through the season that they have. I'm sure it's frustrating. I'm sure it's angry. But at the same time, you probably would consider... You probably wouldn't back against them not bouncing back up and yo-yoing back up to the Premier League for the following campaign after next. So... be interesting times that lie ahead for Sheffield United. It'll be interesting to see what they do with their key players. It'll be interesting to see what they do with their manager. It'll be interesting to see how they go about their business from this point forward. But one thing that we do know is that Sheffield United are down. They have been confirmed today as relegated to the Championship after Newcastle won today. We'll see, obviously, where this takes them. These have just been the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it. This guy, I want to know what you guys think. I would love to know your thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, on Sheffield United in the comment section down below. So please do get involved down there. Would love to hear from you all. Other than that, hit the like button on the way up. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new and want to see more content like this. Both things are always and friendly, greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video, and I'll see you and speak to you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks for watching. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your night. Speak to you all again very, very soon.